Stampers, I'm Meg from Loven Stamps and you're watching Maker Mornings with Meg. Today's project features a new suite that you might not have looked at very much. And I have to tell you, it is one of my favorites because I also have a passion for pottery, especially wheel thrown pottery. And glazes and textures are super fabulous way to look at just shapes and colors and the way things go together. And so Stampin' Up has this new designer series paper. It's part of the Earthen Elegance Suite. I had to double check my book there, page 71. And it includes a designer series paper that has all of these pottery textures and patterns on them. So just some really pretty colors and shading, and then the backs of these and some cool pottery techniques, this kind of earth tone, copper clay, raku firing things. And then on the back we have some patterns that match and sort of coordinating colors and contrasting colors to give you some sort of blue and orange and all kinds of things. So today's card, I'm going to show you how to make the most of these papers because they are really pretty, but they come 12 by 12. This is just cut down to 6 by 6 for the example. They come 12 by 12, and sometimes it's hard to figure out how to divide up the papers to get, good results from them, especially when a pattern is really large. And so we're going to go ahead and use Earthen Textures stamps and Earthen Textures dies to make a card that is a copy of the catalog. So let's switch cameras here, and with that we will get started. So I have some new colors here. This is Pecan Pie. And I'm going to use this as our card base. So let's go ahead and fold this in half. And we are going to turn our card sideways like this. And now I have completely forgotten which page of the catalog this is copied from. So I'll put it in the video description and you will have to look at that. Gosh, I can't remember what the card was. But here is sort of a partial example. This one on page 81 here, this is the cute It's a Science stamp set, this one here. And it uses this diagonal line on the back of the card. Now, one of the things about diagonal line layers is that you sometimes have to measure and figure out and get the angles right and so forth. And the nice thing about this layout is that there's no measuring and no hard work like that. So we're going to start with a piece of designer series paper that is 3 by 4 inches, which I love a 3 by 4 card. Usually I do them this way with a mat around, but we're going to turn our 3 by 4 this way and pop it all the way to the edge. And then I have a 2 by 4 piece that's going to go here at the right side. So we're going to go ahead and stick these down because we are pretty well set. And I actually had not really noticed the card which now I can't remember, in the catalog that provided the inspiration for this. But last week, or a couple weeks ago, we had our team, I think this is actually upside down. I think the vines go this way. That looks better. Good thing for multi-purpose liquid glue, right? You got a couple seconds to move it. Anyway, we had our team Zoom for our team Stamp and Share, the Loven Stampfuls and associated demonstrator families. And one of the things we like to do is a stamp along project where we kind of give a card size, a bunch of piece size, and then we put our cards together, but everybody uses different materials. And so this was the stamp along example that Julie Davison put together for us. And so I've made my version and I'm going to show that to you now. Now, then I have a piece of cardstock that's 1 by 5 inches or 1 by 5.5, 1 by 5.5, gives you a little more leeway. And that means that I can go ahead and put this at a diagonal across our card and cover up that area. Now, I'm going to use multi-purpose liquid glue again because it's not going to be super flat in there. I want to make sure that it sticks well. And I'm going to go as much diagonal as I possibly can. You'll notice I didn't put glue at the top and the bottom so that it isn't poking out the edges. And then you can take your paper trimmer or your scissors and trim off the extras. It's always easier if you're right-handed, it's always easier to trim from the back like this with your right hand. I suppose if you're left, it's easier to trim from the back too. But whichever way you do, you want to get those snug up against the edge there. And this gives us a really pretty card background with these gorgeous papers that really show off that paper and give us some cool variety and this fun little diagonal design card. So now let's work in some of our stamps and our dies to go along with our card base. I have a piece of crumb cake cardstock again and a piece of pecan pie again. And I really love the texture on this pretty vase down here. So we're gonna take this and I'm gonna stamp this in Early Espresso ink, which is one of the coordinating colors for this designer series paper. Actually, I don't know if it's even listed on it might not be listed on the packaging for it, but it works really well, so I'm gonna use it. And it's a really, really nice dark color. So I'm gonna pop that on there. And then I think I want to add some plants. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna use this sort of wispy wheat die or stamp. And I'm gonna use pecan pie for that. And we're gonna do this on the same color here, or same color crumb cake. I'm gonna ink this up. I love new ink pads. They're just always so beautifully inked the first time. There you go. Sometimes they're a little extra juicy, which is okay for me too. And then I'm gonna go ahead and bring in one more piece of crumb cake, and we're gonna stamp a thought on here, a greeting. And there are some great ones included here in this stamp set, but I'm just gonna go with a simple thank you. And this greeting, I think I'm gonna stamp it in pecan pie again. So I'm gonna pop this on here. Now, this is not a photopolymer stamp, so it's a little easier to end up with kind of a crooked greeting. But the nice thing about that is that I can easily take my paper trimmer and get that corrected. So I usually grab a scrap that's a little bit bigger than what I need. And instead of lining up the edge of my cardstock as I put it into my trimmer, I'm gonna look through here and line up the greeting itself that I've stamped to get that right there adjacent to the bottom so that I can get a straight line. And now on this side, I'm gonna line up the bottom of the cardstock with my lines and go ahead and trim that across. So now I have my thank you words, which are pretty well straight. Not perfect maybe, but pretty close. Good enough, I think. Good enough. All right, and then let's just go ahead and we'll trim these down at the ends so that they're about even on both sides of our text. And let us do some die cutting here. So from the coordinating die set, we have a variety of great things, both images that cut out stamps and images that provide extra interest. So let's go ahead and grab this one here because this is going to cut out our wheat. And then we have this small one here with this vase. And I'm going to show you about the vases. They actually don't cut around the outside of the dies. They cut a little bit smaller or around the stamps, which is fine. If you wanted a layer that went around, you could use your snips and fussy cut around. So it's kind of nice that you get a second size option here. So it's going to be just inside those lines. And through the magic of television, of course, I have these pieces die cut and ready to go. So let's go ahead and pop these on here and figure out what else we might want to add. So I'm going to go ahead and put those sort of on this third line down here, and then I'm going to sort of put our greeting right across there also. And I feel like we need just a little bit more interest here in the foreground. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this die here, and I want to incorporate just a little bit more of our pecan pie cardstock. So I could take my pecan pie and cut this die out, and through the magic of television, I have that right here. So just this fun, wispy little fan piece. And we can add this here to our pot like that. I think I want my stamped piece on top. So I like the way that that is set up. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and pinch these I'm looking at them on the front and get them kind of pinched where I want them. And then I'm gonna flip them to the back side without letting them move, hopefully. And I'm gonna pop some Stampin' Dimensional edge pieces on here because that will give me some sort of extra stability as we go across, and it's just gonna anchor those pieces in place. And then maybe one more here, hold this little wispy guy. I just wanna make sure that they're still coming out the top of the pot. I wouldn't want that to come out the side of the pot over here. That would look a little strange. All right, so we've got this here, and then I think when we go to stick it down for real on our final, we'll go ahead and put another one out there to just anchor that. And then our greeting, I'm gonna go ahead and put a dimensional on just sort of this side of it here. But I feel like we could do just a little bit more for this. And so I'm gonna look at our dies again, and I have this one right here, which is a really cool top for our pot. And we can layer that right on there. So I'm gonna cut this here through from our pecan pie, not pumpkin pie, cardstock. And then this is gonna layer here. So let's go ahead and pop some multi-purpose liquid glue on the back of this and add this. Now is the part of our card where I usually say, hey, we should add some bling to this card. But this really isn't a very blingy feeling kind of card to me. I know, some of you are disappointed, but it's not very blingy feeling. So the trim that is in this suite, so the stamps, the dies, the paper, and this trim is called the natural, let's see, what's it called? It's called Natural 1/4 Inch Wavy Trim, very descriptive. And here it is, natural and 1/4 inch and wavy. So it's got this cool weave to it. And one of the things I love about this is that you can go ahead and stick it down on the pot as sort of a trim piece. So I'm going to go ahead and clip just a teeny bit extra, more than what we need. And I'm gonna put some glue here on the back of this. So let's go ahead and glue across. Now remember, when you use multi-purpose liquid glue, it doesn't grab instantly, which helped us when I put my paper on upside down. But when you're trimming trim pieces or gluing trim pieces and things like that, it just means that you're gonna wanna hold that for a second to make sure it really grabs before you start to mess around with it, because you don't want it to come off. All right, so now I'm gonna take my paper snips and I'm going to go ahead and trim the edge pieces here of our cool 1/4 inch wavy trim. And right to this tip of snips, always a tricky place to be cutting. There we go. All right, what do you guys think? Kind of a fun pot, right? Just a really nice, just very earthy kind of looking piece. And I think I'm going to go ahead and put one more dimensional on the back of this part over here. And when I peel this off, I'm gonna let our fern piece here stick behind it. So let's let it go where it wants to go naturally. There we go. So now those elements here are stuck down just one more time there. And I'll peel off the dimensional backings and we'll put our card back together here. Okay. And so this is gonna go here on our third line. And then here we have our thank you element that's gonna go right there in the front. So, all right, what do you guys think? Is it exactly what you thought? I really wasn't too sure about this Earthen Elegance Suite collection. I needed to make some cards with it for a highlight that I'm doing with some other Stampin' Up demonstrators, but this is the catalog pages here. And so I was kind of excited to get it out and play with it. And it's turned out to be a lot of fun. I do really love those pottery papers like we talked about. And I've been really impressed with the amount of pieces that are included in the die set that really give you a bunch of different options for making sort of the most of the theme and the suite and so forth. So there is our card. All right. So that brings us to the end of Maker Mornings with Meg for today. We are super quick today. If you have any questions, as always, let me know. In the video description is a shopping link for all of the supplies that I've used in our project today. So you will want to check those out. And keep an eye on the things that are in stock and maybe running out of stock. I think that everything should be good for this project. So remember that these things are all from the annual catalog, so they'll be available through next summer. But if there's things that you want right away, make sure you grab those so that you don't miss out in case they become super popular from people seeing videos and things like that. So, all right. Thank you guys for watching. Have a wonderful day, and I wish you the best of luck with all of your card making and stamping projects. So happy stamping, guys. Bye-bye.